It is PHLY Rank Week all throughout ALLCITY. We're doing the rankings of the top 25 games in each city. So we all had to come up with our lists.
Today.
And we actually had a Flyers game.
Yeah.
As the first one released, the number 25. This is the one Charlie always references.
Yeah.
Like Game 6, 2004 Eastern Conference Final against Tampa Bay. Man, this is just one of the best hockey games I've ever seen.
It was pretty good.
Keith Primo on one, that wraparound game-tying goal. Gagne wins it in overtime. Simon Gagne. And the number of clutch goals he is, like...
I feel like we don't talk about him enough.
We don't.
Like Danny being Mr. Playoffs and the run Keith Primo was on in these playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, Gagne just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. And, like,
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
I think we just kind of took him for granted for a while.
I think so, too.
Like, and he was just... such an under-the-radar great player.
Yeah.
Like this goal, like two of the games, like Game 7 against Boston's obviously going to make this list.
Right.
He scored the game winner in that one, too. We're talking about two of the biggest playoff games in franchise history.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this is since 1980, this list. I was born in 1988. I did my best for 80s representation. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to rank something higher that I've seen.
Of course.
Then, like, obviously... I would be shocked if 1987 Game 6 isn't the highest rated Flyers game. And it was number 1 on my list. But, like, I didn't see it. However, in this time frame, there is not a bigger game than forcing a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen 2 Stanley Cup Final. They went 2-8 in those games.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to pick one of the 2 I've seen. I think one Stanley Cup Final game made my list, the Giroux overtime winner. I doubt it's going to make the top 25, which is just funny because that's the deepest they've gone in my lifetime. But, yeah, they lost in 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they lost in 6, sorry.
That kind of sours things.
Yeah, and they lost it at home. It's not even like Game 6 at the Spectrum against Edmonton. Like, yeah. They won at home, forced it. Like, that's the game today, though. That was the last Flyers home game for Leclerc, Recchi, Roenick, all the dudes that got bought out or traded after the because it's the lockout the next year, and then they go out and like reshape the team. There's a salary cap now. They get Forsberg, they get Hatcher. So they were like, yeah, man, we got to say goodbye to like Leclerc and Roenick and all them. So they all that's their last game at home for
that's insane.
Like dudes we grew up with.
Can you watch these games anywhere? I think the NHL makes it very difficult to watch old games.
Do you have the DVD set? Because it's on there.
No. I mean,
I still have the top 10 DVDs. They need to put out another one. There just hasn't been like anything to add since 04.
This is one of those games where, like, if you're a newer Flyers fan,
you need to watch that one.
This is a game that you should watch to like really get an idea of what it was like to be a Flyers fan.
Cuz like the games you put out there too.
He was a fan of my list. I was very proud of that. I did the best I could.
You're very good at this, Will.
I get so jealous because then like Cuz is bringing up like the old Phillies games from like back in the 80s. I'm just like, wow, I wish I would have been there like alive to see these moments.
I don't know, being a Phillies fan seems pretty cool like, the last few years.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I remember like being a Phillies fan in like 1997 and getting made fun of. Like, well, just root for the Yankees or the Reds or like the Braves and shit. It's like, no, I don't do that.
Be a Philly. Imagine if you were here like in the 40s or 50s. You could have been. It's either the Phillies or the A's.
That's how I do wonder how it would be to have. Like, that's why I think like New York isn't a sports town. They're just a huge town with a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Like Boston and Philly are sports towns, and everyone is a fan of the same shit.
That's how it should be.
If you choose between like. Imagine, I don't want a choice.
No.
Because I choose the winner, and that's why I think all Mets fans are morons. Right. Like the best team ever is right there for you, and you chose the loser. Like, I'm sorry, you chose wrong.
Yeah.
Well, look at Chicago, dude. No one cares about the White Sox.
Why would you? Although, like, they did win the one World Series,
They
like,
did in
well
05,
before the Cubs did.
Yeah.
But, like, also,
wait,
ballpark is cool as hell.
Dapta just says he thinks he has a DVD set.
I have the DVD set. I definitely do. The last game on it, I'm pretty sure, is Game 6 of the Lightning. I think like that was the cutoff.
Too bad you can't run to your local Blockbuster, guys.
Flyers, I know you're watching this. Re-release the DVD sub.
Put it out on Blu-ray, damn it.
Do it.
I guess you'd have to put it out for download. I'm really stuck on
No,
physical media.
I
miss that, man.
I think you gotta
Stuff's
do
gonna
physical.
start disappearing and getting edited.
You
It's gonna
gotta
be
do
like
physical
Thank You
media.
for Smoking, where everyone who has a cigarette in a movie, all of a sudden it's like
It's weird.
in Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
gonna be a lollipop hanging out of his mouth.
I don't
and
like it.
Yeah, so I want to preserve physical media as much as I can.
Amen.
We all silly like the mayor.